What's up, guys? Huset Time Bank Nationals starting tomorrow, and so I figured I'd do another one of these videos talking about my opinion, the top five guys for the Outlaws going into this race, the top five guys for High Limit, and the top five Invaders going into the biggest race of the year so far. On Thursday night, it paid $100,000 to win, and on Saturday night, $250,000 to win. So whatever driver wins on Saturday, they will more than likely be vaulted to the top of sprint car earnings so far this year. And just winning on Saturday could make one driver's entire season, right? So really big week, and 4 nights of action starting tomorrow for a prelim, and then Thursday have the finale for what they're calling the Huset High Bank Hustle, and then Friday's a prelim for the High Bank Nationals for the $250K on Saturday. So a couple of guys you will not see on this list. Kyle Larson is one of them. He's only doing the first 2 nights of the event. And then you're not going to see about at least eight of the high limit guys. There's 8 of them that are racing. Another 8 are running either a Dirt Cup, they're running the Maverick Series, they're running something else. So 8 high limit guys, 12 outlaw guys, and a bunch of invaders. There's over 50 cars on the entry list. So let's jump into it. So we're going to start at number 5 for each of these factions. And for number 5 with the Outlaws, he has finishes last year. Oh, so let me get this real quick. So these finishes on the top line are their finishes from the race last year here during the 4 nights at Huset High Bank Nationals. And then the second line is just something that has something to do with Huset's or maybe just their recent success in sprint car racing. So the first guy on the list, his finishes last year at this race were kind of all over the map. 7th, 13th, 24th, and 6th. In his last 10 starts with the Outlaws, he has an average finish of 7.0. He's been pretty solid all year long, and that is going to be Gio Scelzi. So Scelzi at number 5 on the Outlaw list. So when I'm putting these together, the number 1 guy is the guy who I think is going to win on Saturday night, and the guy in 5th is the next, in order, I think that he would be the 5th guy to win for the Outlaws. And so Gio Scelzi takes that honor right now. He's been decent in the past at Huset's, not incredible by any means, but I think with how this racetrack races, if you start on the front row, literally anybody can win if they start on the front row at Huset's. That's just how that place is. Track position, absolutely crucial. Compared to other racetracks, you could start in 7th or 8th and still get the win. That is tough to do at this racetrack. Now, going to 5th place on the high limit side of things, he was absolutely fantastic and underrated, I feel like, at this racetrack during this event last year. 9th, 7th, 3rd, and 8th. So 4 top 10s for the Huset High Bank Nationals last year. He also was a prelim night winner of this event back in 2022. He has not been on the board for these before, and that is Spencer Baston. So Baston really, really likes Huset's a lot. He's got a win there, obviously. He was fantastic there last year. 4 top 10s. He was even good there back in 2022 as well, not only with that prelim night win, but he had good finishes there as well throughout that week. So Baston, besides this weekend at Knoxville, obviously did not make either of the shows with the Outlaws. Prior to that, however, he has been pretty darn fast with high limit racing. So I've got him at number 5 for high limit going into this week. Now, with the Invaders, this guy, he was there last year, but he did not qualify for either of the nights. Not all 4 of the nights. He did not make the feature a single time. I've got him down as a wild card. He was a local feature winner at Huset's back in 2023, and I think he's been pretty solid this year. He did get a win at Knoxville this year, and he's with a different team this year as well. So I think that he's going to have a lot better results than what showed from 2023, and that is going to be the 23 of Garrett Williamson. So Garrett Williamson, pretty solid driver this year so far. He has 2 top 5 finishes at Huset's in local action, and he's got that big win at Knoxville. He's been running decent with the Outlaws as well. And I think that if he starts on the front row of this feature, he could win a night at the Huset High Bank Nationals. Now, can he win 250? Can he win 100K? I don't know. When you get to those situations, obviously the nerves can get to a guy that's never won a huge race before. But on one of those prelim nights, I could certainly see him getting the win. And if things go the right way, couldn't be shocked to see him win one of these races just because Huset's is such a wild card of a racetrack. Now, back over to the Outlaw side of things, when it comes to the 4th place guy, his finishes last year, he did not qualify for one of the features. He was 18th, 16th, and 11th. So not exactly great finishes for him, but he is a 10-time World of Outlaws champion for a reason, and that is Donnie Schatz. So I got Schatz at number 4 4 career World of Outlaws wins at the Huset Speedway. He was solid at the 2 nights at Knoxville Raceway just last week. One of them he had to come through the B, but he charged all the way to the top 10, and the other one he was on the podium. So Donnie Schatz at number 4. He's won at Huset before. He's raced there for a very, very long time, even before he was a full-time Outlaw guy, and he's just Donnie Schatz. So you never know with him. He could potentially steal a victory, and he always shows up, it seems like, for the big money events. So do not count out the 15 of Donnie Schatz. Now, 4th on the board for High Limit. His finishes last year were all over the board, kind of. Did not qualify one of the features. He was 6th, he was 8th, and then he was 13th. He has been very, very fast this year, obviously, but he's not had very much Huset's experience. His only 4 races at Huset are these 4 events from last year in 2023, but we've talked about him a lot this year. He's been in the spotlight a lot this year. He's been up front a lot this year as well, and that is Tyler Courtney. So Tyler Courtney, I don't know if he really likes Huset that much, just looking at his finishes. He hasn't been there very much as well. But, with the speed that he's shown this year, the recency bias of him being very, very good, it's hard to not have him on this board. I could not put him much higher than 4th, however, because of his experience at this racetrack, right? He doesn't have very much, and he was kind of all over the place at Knoxville, right? I mean, he got lapped the second night, but then he was in the top 5 or the top 7 the first night, so not really sure what's going on there. But I've got him at number 4 for High Limit. If a High Limit guy wins, don't be shocked if it is Tyler Courtney. And obviously, we've seen him win some really big money races in the past as well. And obviously, this is a big money race going into this week. Now, back over to the Invaders side of things. His finishes at this race last year, just like a couple of these guys we've already talked about, they are a mixed bag. Did not qualify. He was 24th, 15th. Did not qualify again. But he has won the most recent local show there back on June 16th, so about 2 or 3 nights ago. And that is going to be Ryan Timms in the 5T. So Timms, if you had to look at all of his stats, I would say Huset is one of his best racetracks in his arsenal, right? He's got a lot of local show wins there. He's been good there in the past, but obviously things not going very well this year or last year with his finishes. But it does seem like they've got some speed back into that car. 2023 was a rough year for Ryan Timms, but he has certainly got things back going the right direction, at least with the wing on top of the car. He's been good in the midget, obviously, but with the wing on top of the 5T car, it does seem like they are trying to find that speed. They're getting closer and closer. Just picked up a win last week, so a little bit of momentum heading into this week for him. Could not be surprised to see him grab one of these 4 wins throughout the week over there at Huset Speedway. Now, back over to the Outlaws, and we are going to be looking at the guy who won this race last year. His finishes on the week were 2nd, 5th, and 1st. His last 7 starts during the Huset High Bank Nationals going back to 2023, 2.8 average finish. And the other one, the eighth race that I did not count in that one, was the year where he was leading and he hit the wall when the gate opened up, right? And he was leading and finished 20th, right? So that is going to be, if you haven't figured it out yet, it is David Gravel. So Gravel, the defending winner, I've got him at number 3. And Chase, you guys are probably thinking, like, Chase, what are you thinking? The guy that just won at Knoxville last week, the guy that won this race last year, a 2.8 average finish in his last 7 starts. How is he 3rd? Well, I have my reasonings for that, and we'll get to that here in just a moment. But David Gravel definitely is going to be a factor for at least 1 or 2 of these wins throughout the week. Now, which ones will they be? Will it be for 100,000, for 250,000? Those remain to be seen. But David Gravel, absolutely fantastic at Huset Speedway. Obviously, it's a big week for him. Huset Speedway, the main sponsor on the car, and his car owner owns that track. So it's definitely a big week for David Gravel. I've got him at number 3 on this list. I almost put him at number 2, but I just feel like the 2 guys ahead of him just have a little bit more speed on tracks of this size right now in the present day with the Outlaws. Now, back over to High Limit. This guy was 3rd. He was 10th, 12th. And he finished 2nd to David Gravel during this race last year on the finale night for $250,000 to win. He was also the High Limit Racing winner at Huset Speedway in 2023. And I feel like he is kind of peaking right now. He was very good at Knoxville on one of those nights, and he was great at Eagle. He was winning races right before Eagle as well with High Limit. And he's been solid all year, but it really seems like him and this team have, really hit their stride at this point in time. And this is the time to be hitting your stride coming up on all this money up for grabs in sprint car racing, and it is Rico Abreu. So Rico really likes Huset Speedway. Obviously, was pretty good last year. Had finishes almost all of them inside the top 10 except for one. Got the high limit win as well. And Rico has just been really solid recently. Now, he might not have the finishes like an Eagle. He was running up front, got that flat tire and things like that. But I think he knows that he's very, very fast right now. And the other thing is for him, I think he's going to be having a video, he told me last week, coming out this week, kind of, feeding into the rivalry between the Outlaws and High Limit. And he really wants to beat these guys on the left side of the board really badly. And I feel like he's going to be driving extra hard just to beat them. And that is something that's going to be fun for people to watch from home, as well as, people that are there in the stands. So, yeah, I got Rico Abreu at number 3. And I could have had him at number 2, but I left him at 3. He has been really good at Huset here over the last couple of years, but we'll leave him there for now. Now, back over to the Invaders side of things. This guy was 20th, 19th, 23rd, and 13th in the 4 races last year. Now, that might not sound very good, but he did at least make all 4 features, which is something a lot of these guys on the board cannot say. Look at Shots didn't make it. The guy that's second on the Outlaws didn't make it. The guy that's first with High Limit didn't make it. Tyler Courtney didn't make it last year. This guy on number 1 in Invaders missed it twice last year. It is hard to make all of the features during the Huset High Bank Nationals with the format, with how the racetrack is. It is tough to do that, and this guy made all of them. He also just won a race at Huset's on June 9th, and that will be Austin McCarl in car number 88. So McCarl, I think that he could definitely be a factor. He's already won a race this year at that place. He's won a race at Knoxville this year. He's had solid runs with High Limit. He ran a top 5 at Lakeside Speedway earlier this year. He's ran well against the Outlaws as well. And it seems like those guys have some speed right now. So I got Austin McCarl at number 3. That recency bias of him getting a win, I think that certainly helps his case for being up higher on this list. And the fact that he made all 4 races last year, that definitely helps his case as well. Now, back over to the Outlaws for number 2. And this guy is the 2022 winner of the Huset High Bank Nationals. Last year, his finishes, he did not qualify for one of them, 9th, 6th, and 12th. And that is going to be Sheldon Haudenschild. Now, in my opinion, Sheldon has had more speed on smaller racetracks here in recent time compared to David Gravel, and that is why I have him ahead of Gravel on this list. And Sheldon, I feel like, looking back to that race in 2022, when the big money's on the line, this guy drives his car harder than anybody else. He came out of nowhere, stole that win away from James McFadden back in 2022. Last year, did not exactly have the results he was hoping for. The format for this race, I'm probably going to do a video on it. It is just so tough to be consistent each and every night and put yourself in position for these wins. And so I think that format may have bit him a little bit last year. But we know that Sheldon's fast. We know that he shows up when the money's on the line. And we've seen him do it in the past. So I got him at number 2 for the Outlaws. Now for High Limit Racing on number 2, we've got him at 16th, 8th, 4th, and 7th in races last year at Huset during the High Bank Nationals. His average finish this year on 3/8 mile racetracks is 2.25. Been absolutely fantastic on 3/8, and that is going to be Brad Sweet. Now, Sweet did not have the finishes he was hoping for at Knoxville. One of them way outside the top 10. The other one, he was on the back half of the top 10. Really was not a factor at all for the wins over there with the big field at Knoxville Raceway against the Outlaws. But he was very good at Eagle here recently, finished second to Kyle Larson, and it took rubber there at the end, but it looked like he could have maybe challenged Kyle for the victory there. And we just know that Brad Sweet is absolutely fantastic. He does have a win with the Outlaws there, although it was a long time ago, way back in 2016, the only win that he has at Huset Speedway. But Brad Sweet, he's going to do Brad Sweet things. He's kind of like Donnie Schatz. We know that Donnie Schatz is going to be fantastic. We know that Brad Sweet will be brilliant as well. I've got him at number 2. The guy that's number 1, I think, is going to be the guy that wins one of these 2 big paydays for the High Limit Racing side of things. Now, back over to the Invaders. This guy actually did not run the race last year. I'm not sure why. I can't remember. I mean, I was there, but I don't remember why he did not race this race. But he does have a World of Outlaws win. He won the Huset's 50, which was a 50-lap feature back in 2021. And he's been pretty solid this year. Now, he did have a couple of incidents at Knoxville, but he was running up front when it happened. And that is going to be Aaron Reitzel. So I had Reitzel on the board for the Invaders and the Knoxville Regulars during last week's preview for the Knoxville Raceway, big 2 nights there. And Reitzel, we just know that this guy is a fast driver. We know that he can get the job done. Several top 5s. He doesn't run Huset's nearly as much as, say, a McCarl or a Timms, but we know that Aaron Reitzel is a driver that should be on a national tour right now. He is that fast. Unfortunately, we don't have much data to look back on when it comes to that last year when it comes to the High Bank Nationals. But Reitzel, when I feel like when he shows up to the racetrack, it's hard to not count him out. It doesn't matter if it's Huset, Knoxville, or anywhere else in the country. This guy knows how to drive a race car. We've got him at number 2 for the Invaders, and would not be shocked at all to see him win one of these races coming up. And we've seen him win big money races in the past as well. Now, number 1 for each of the factions. Number 1 for the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series drivers. Last year, he was 13th, he was 3rd, he was 2nd, and then he finished 21st on the finale night. And I've got asterisks next to that because it looked like he was on his way to the victory and blew up an engine. He also has a prelim night win during this week in 2022 at Huset Speedway, and that is going to be Buddy Kofoid. Now, Kofoid does not have much to show for his recent speed at Knoxville Raceway, but on these types of racetracks, I feel like Kofoid has been phenomenal, and also he's been good in different cars, right? So all these 4 finishes right there were with the Roth 83 last year. This race right here, the prelim night win in 2022, that was in that Crouch Motorsports 11, so he's been fast in 2 different cars at Huset Speedway here in recent time, and I think that Buddy Kofoid may be the best guy on the Outlaw Tour right now on smaller racetracks, and he's very, very good at Huset Speedway. We've seen it before, and obviously looking for big-time redemption from last year when he blew up on the, with a couple laps to go in the lead of a $250,000 race, so I think he's going to be coming back hungry. He's going to be looking for a victory for the Outlaws. Now, on the high limit side of things, this is going to look a little weird, but it is his teammate, James McFadden. I've got him at number 1 for high limit to win the Huset's High Bank Nationals. His finishes last year, not exactly the best. He did not qualify for one of them. He won the second night, then he did not qualify again, and then he was 20th. But if you remember back to 2022, he lost the Huset's High Bank Nationals on the last corner to Sheldon Haudenschild. And so we know that James McFadden is fast at Huset's. Obviously got a win there last year on a prelim night, and then nearly won the $250K in 2022. So I've got McFadden there. He was great at Knoxville both nights. He was great at Eagle as well. He's been great in recent time with high limit racing. And he might be a little bit of a wild card compared to like maybe a Rico or a Brad on this list. But I like to go out there on a limb sometimes and pick guys that maybe not everybody's thinking about. And I've got the Roth Motorsports teammates at the top for each of the traveling tour factions between the Outlaws and High Limit. McFadden and Kofoid, my 2 guys over there. And then when it comes to the Invader side of things, this is definitely a little bit of a stretch, I think, but I'm going to stick with it. His finishes last year did not qualify. He was 24th, he was 10th, and he did not qualify again on the final night. He's a 4-time Huset Speedway winner, and he's finished 2nd twice there in local action this year in 2024. These finishes last year were not in this car. They were in his family-owned car. And now, with all the speed he's been showing here recently, I think it's very hard to not have him on this list. Number 1 might be a stretch, but I'm putting Chase Randall at number 1 in the 2KS car as the best Invader to potentially upset the Outlaws, upset High Limit, and take down a huge payday, what would be the biggest win of his career by a long shot. Randall has shown a ton of speed even after that big wreck that he had over there at Knoxville a few weeks ago. He went to Eagle, was in the top 5 racing up there. I think he finished inside the top 10. And Chase Randall, I think that he's hungry for a huge win. That team has been really, really good. It's great to see that Renfro car back up front where it belongs, racing for the lead, racing for top 5s against the Traveling Touring Series. And Chase Randall is a very, very good race car driver, and he's been in the victory lane at Huset several times in the past, all of those in his family car, but I think that this 2KS car is better than his family-owned number 9 machine. So there you have it, the top 5 from the Invaders, the top 5 from High Limit, and the top 5 from the Outlaws. Obviously, this is all my opinion, and you could tell me in the comment section if I'm wrong, who should I have had on there. I'm obviously missing Macedo, I'm missing Schuhart from the World of Outlaws side of things. I'm missing Corey Eliason and Casey Kane from the High Limit side of things, and I'm missing a bunch of guys from the Invader side of things. But in my opinion, these 15 guys right here are the best ones. I think that they're going to be running up front every single night over there at the Huset's High Bank Nationals. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and we'll talk to you again here very soon on the channel.